You know, when we play a video game, we just see that incredible final product on our screen. But today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the whole industry to show you a connection that, well, you probably never saw coming.
And I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about how it's made? Beyond the cool art and the millions of lines of code, how does that huge digital world get from an idea in someone's head all the way to your console, right on time? What's the actual machinery behind the scenes that makes it all tick?
It's so easy to picture game designers as these modern-day wizards, just waving a wand and poof, a world appears. And hey, there's absolutely incredible artistry involved, for sure. But the process itself, it's not magic, it's actually a super-engineered system, which honestly is almost cooler.
Yeah, you heard that right, a supply chain. Because here's the wild part. The very same principles that get a car off an assembly line and into a showroom are being used to build the digital worlds we love getting lost in. At its core, making a video game is a total masterclass in supply chain management.
So let's just completely reframe how we think about a game studio. Forget the beanbag chairs and the ping pong tables for a second, and picture it as this highly sophisticated factory. And it's all driven by this one big idea: operations management.
So what is that? Well, think of operations management as the unseen director of a huge blockbuster movie. It's the master plan that makes sure the artists have what they need when they need it, that the programmers aren't just sitting around waiting, and that the whole massive production hits its release date without all the drama.
It's really like the ultimate group project, right? The main goal is just to prevent bottlenecks. You just can't have your level designers twiddling their thumbs waiting for character models or the sound team waiting for the final script. It's all about creating this seamless pipeline from that very first line of code all the way to launch day.
Okay, so if the studio is the factory, then who's on the assembly line? This is where it gets really interesting, because when you start comparing the roles, man, the parallels are just crystal clear.
This is where it really clicks into place. Think about it. Your game artists creating these incredible worlds, they're basically your product design engineers. The programmers building the game engine, they're running the most complex production line you can possibly imagine. Even the writers who are crafting the story are kind of like logistics planners, scheduling the flow of narrative materials. Every single role has a direct counterpart all the way down the chain.
And the similarities don't just stop with the job titles. It turns out game developers and your more traditional manufacturers, well, they're wrestling with a lot of the exact same global headaches.
I mean, does this list look familiar? It totally should. Remember the nightmare of trying to find a new graphics card or a console a while back? That is a classic supply chain crunch. Or think about how demand for a game can just explode overnight because of one good trailer, sending these huge shockwaves through the entire system. These aren't just gaming problems, they're global logistics problems.
And all this uncertainty leads to a classic supply chain problem called the bullwhip effect. So picture this. A tiny flick of your wrist creates a huge, massive wave at the other end of a long whip. It's the same idea here. In gaming, a tiny rumor of a new console might cause a small bump in pre-orders, but then retailers see that bump and they get nervous, so they double their orders from the manufacturer. The manufacturer sees that massive order and they totally freak out and triple their orders for microchips. That tiny little flicker of demand just created this giant, distorted wave of panic all the way up the supply chain.
And you might think, well, everything's digital now, so that solved it, right? Not so fast. Sure, you don't have to ship as many plastic boxes, but now you've got a whole new set of worries. Do you have enough server capacity for 1 million people to log in on launch day? Is your network reliable? And at the same time, the physical side is still dealing with all the classic challenges of making hardware and managing inventory. So, okay, why are we talking about this? Why does drawing this parallel between game design and a factory actually matter? What's the big takeaway?
This quote just nails it. It really doesn't matter if you're shipping barrels of oil or shipping pixels for a new game. The fundamental challenge is exactly the same. How do you get a bunch of complex parts and people working together to deliver a final product effectively?
And it almost always boils down to these 4 pillars. Get the communication wrong, and the whole plan fails. Get the planning wrong, and you're just wasting resources. Get the resources wrong, well, you can't deliver a thing. It's like this universal formula for success for any complex project out there.
And you know, this whole way of looking at the world isn't just some random thought experiment. The insights for this explainer were actually inspired by the community over at ASCM Houston. That's the Association for Supply Chain Management. These are the folks having these conversations every single day.
So look, if this kind of thinking gets you excited, I really encourage you to go check out their work. They host all sorts of events and share these incredible conversations on their YouTube channel. It's a great place to learn more and even share your own experiences to help build smarter, stronger supply chains for everyone.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Because once you start looking for it, you start to see these principles everywhere. A movie set, a hospital, even a political campaign. So I'll leave you with this. What other hidden factories are out there operating right under our noses?